Are you worried about today's dire financial situation?
Put simply, I would argue the Biden economic plan is working.
The storms on Wall Street continue today after regulators seized the assets of Silicon Valley Bank, marking the largest bank failure since the 2008 financial crisis.
Do you worry you'll have enough to pay your mortgage, pay your children's college tuition, enough to retire?
I believe our banking system remains strong.
Regional banks in focus once again today as the market digests the fallout of the First Republic failure.
You have questions, we have answers. It's the Gold Standard with Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn.
Thank you for joining us. Happy New Year. It is the Gold Standard Radio Show. Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn. We are with you, and happy 2024, Ken.
Yeah, we're back for more.
We're back.
2024 and beyond.
Gluttons for punishment. We're back for more. That's right. And we're going to go through what is up ahead in the year to come. And sadly, here's a spoiler alert. A little bit more of the same, but probably maybe accelerated.
Yeah, intensified,
yeah.
right? Yeah, why not? I mean, it seems to me like we're reaching a really important point here.
Well, we will talk about all of that. But first, before we can look ahead, we must look back at how we got to where we are. And how we got to where we are happened in 1971 with Richard Nixon.
Yeah, and we are in a real sticky spot.
It's a
That's
pickle.
how I would, it's concerning our money.
Yes.
You know, also many other things that we're going to get into. But remember, our money used to be backed by gold. So it always had worth. But in 1971, they completely got rid of the gold standard. Richard Nixon, obviously, Bretton Woods was blowing up. The United States was running out of gold. France and other countries realized, hey, you know, why don't we transfer our dwindling dollars and get that gold stuff? You know, the stuff that holds its value. It's been money for thousands of years. Remember that stuff?
Yes, I do.
But Richard Nixon said, whoa. Wait a minute. We are going to stop the convertibility of the dollar into gold. And, you know, that's where the fiat money came from. What's that, Mitch? You know?
And that means it's backed by nothing.
Yeah, it's backed by nothing. And that's where we're at today. And the government is printing it into oblivion, okay? They're taking debt out like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's deficit spending, historical. And what does this mean to the purchasing power and the safety and the privacy of our money? And that's what we're talking about. So what does gold do? Physical gold, you know, like this real stuff right here.
That's beautiful.
Not the paper stuff. The only way to own gold is in your own possession, privately. So you could hold it, control it. Nobody knows about it except yourself, and we think privacy is real important. And in our contention, the only form of real money that has existed and survived in its original form throughout time.
Yeah, historically. I mean, gold has continued to hold its value. It's grown in value over time. It's solid. It's there in front of you. It's something you can hold at home, and it's available. Our friends over at Midas Gold Group, a great place to go at 855-322-4653. That's 855-322-GOLD. So let's look ahead at 2024. Let's look at some of the patterns that we might see. And I think maybe we start, Ken, with the banking system, because so many of us have all of our money tied up in these branches that have closed down, maybe can't always fulfill our needs when we want to withdraw our money. And then on a grander scale, there were a lot of bank collapses in 2023.
Yeah, some of the largest in our country's history. And you want to know what? I think most people have forgotten about it already. And I
think because they didn't make a big deal about it.
Well, they can't. They're not going to make a big deal about it because they don't want people to panic.
Right.
So obviously, we all know that the banks are in trouble. They're leveraged to the gills. They own a lot of commercial real estate, a lot of the regional banks. These office buildings, these malls, they're half empty, these office towers. They have all of these programs set up for the banks, like the Bank Term Funding Program, where they just lend the banks money.
Right.
And that's over in March. So you're going to start to see here over the next few months a lot of this stuff, repos, swap lines. I mean, the whole banking system is just a leverage scam. We're bailing out Japanese banks now. The Federal Reserve Bank, do people realize, Jen, that it's not a government entity? It's a private corporation with shareholders. Do people realize that?
I have to be honest. You taught me that.
Yeah.
And I think for many of us, we put a lot of blind faith into the Fed. We put a lot of blind faith into our banks, thinking that no matter what, our money's going to be protected. One of the things I always bring up to you, that FDIC insurance, right? And you see it and you go, oh, I only want to put my money in something with that protection. But you've explained, and you did so last year, and I think it's worth saying again, that FDIC insurance is not going to mean anything if there's a real collapse.
I mean, like Mike says, I mean, with the casino, what's that line you say about the casino?
By Nevada law, you have to have in the cage at the casino, you have to have enough cash back there in the cage to cover every chip in play on the casino floor.
There you go. So you have to have enough cash to cover every chip on the casino floor.
It's not how the banks are.
No, they don't have our money. It's lent out, it's invested, it's underwater. So it's only a matter of time, Jen, before we see more banking crisis. It's only a matter of time before we see a bank do a bail-in when they actually take people's money. So people are going to freak out. They're not going to be able to get their money when they need it. I'm very concerned that people are not taking what's going on with the banks seriously enough. And I'm afraid at the most important time when people might want to get to their money, they're not going to be able to.
And you can circumvent that, though, because you can kind of do a workaround around a banking system that you can't trust.
Well, you have to keep purchasing power outside of the banking system and outside of the markets. And that's where gold and that's where silver comes in. You could always cash it in if you have to, but it allows you to control and have access to some of your money when, regrettably, maybe most people will be in a situation where they can't. So the banking system had a lot of problems in 2023. And unfortunately, it's just going to be a matter of time this year in 2024 before those banking problems, resurface.
855-322-GOLD to reach Midas Gold Group, 855-322-4653. You can text GOLD to 232425, and they'll get right back to you. Now, let's move along and look ahead to 2024 and the BRICS countries, because these are a group of nations that have come together, and they are not operating in the dollar. This is what, let's see, you've taught me well. Brazil, Russia, India, China, Saudi Arabia?
No. C, China, B, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa.
South Africa. Okay,
yes.
See, I was almost there.
No, but you were right, because Saudi Arabia is one of the new countries that's joining.
See, I'm not making
with
stuff
the
up.
United Arab Emirates, with Ethiopia, with Iran. Do you notice a little bit of a theme there?
I do. People we don't want messing with us, but unfortunately they're all gathering together to do that.
And they also have a lot of oil, and they have a lot of resources. So you have countries that are kind of tired of being bullied by the United States. They're tired of dealing, in dollars. They're doing more business outside of that in their local currencies. The dollar's not going away, but it's a slow sort of death.
Right.
Where these other countries are definitely doing more business outside of the dollar. Not to mention, a lot of these countries, which is very, very important, are not buying United States debt anymore. They're selling it. So they're net sellers of debt. And that's a scary situation, because our system does not work unless we're allowed to create more debt.
Right. And we see that every single day. And let's talk about debt, because you've got a lot more spending. This is an election year in this country and in many nations also.
How are you, baby?
Oh, thank
Another
you.
4 years
Chairman,
of that, huh?
Chairman
And I would
Joe.
have to say, it's probably been one of the worst 3 years of any presidential, person in our history. So that's all. I'll leave it at that.
The sniffer in chief is what I like to call
no matter
him.
how much they lie or how much it's working or how safe things are, or blah, blah, blah. It's all nonsense.
But in an election year, I mean, we saw this last time around when Joe Biden was running. He said he wanted to relieve student debt. Now, we don't have money to relieve student debt. These are more empty promises, and it's not just Democrats. Republicans make them too, where they just want to put us further and further into debt, and there's no plan to get us out.
No, and it's all based on fake money, and it's all based on debt created out of thin air. We're at $34 trillion. We're at over $2 trillion a year in deficit spending. We're at over $1 trillion a year in the interest on just the debt itself. So we have to print the money just to come up with that. It's a very bad situation. We will have a debt crisis. Of course, they're going to continue to spend. They're going to continue to raise the debt ceiling. The whole system is addicted to debt. There's no way out of this. And you want to know what's really scary, Jen?
Tell me.
The whole world is doing it.
Yeah.
This is a global debt problem. All of these new programs that they come out with, are just more reasons to print more money. COVID was a real convenient excuse to print trillions more. I'm really worried what's going to be the next excuse.
Could be COVID again. You already hear the
who
rumblings.
knows? I'm a little bit concerned, about the kind of action that a desperate government would take.
Yeah.
So, and a desperate banking system. We'll see, but there's no reason why anyone should have all of their money tied up in a system that's so leveraged and so drowning in debt. No reason. It's unacceptable. That's where gold and silver comes into play. Think about it. Get a little bit of money out of the system. Get a little bit of money out of these casino markets, out of these leveraged banks. Not to mention, what's a guarantee?
Yeah.
We talk about guarantees all the time. Our money is going to lose purchasing power.
And this is a problem. If what you think you needed 10 years ago, it's not what you need anymore. You need a lot more than that. Midas Gold Group is the place to go. Check them out. MidasGoldGroup.com. 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-4653. You can always text GOLD to 232425. And I want to underscore something you said right there, Ken, because I think it's important. We know that our country is overspending. We know that our our dollar is losing value every day, but it's connected globally. And the world market right now is shaky, and that's at best, to say the least.
Yeah,
right?
and they also see what we're doing. They're laughing. They're losing confidence in the once powerful superpower United States of America, and that's our own doing. But unfortunately, it's going to get worse.
Oh, and here we go. We're in an election
It's going to get worse. Oh, here's Happy Ken again, 2024, Mr. Sunshine. But I'm just saying, we've done this.
Yep.
$1 20 years ago is now worth 55 cents. $1 of gold 20 years ago is now worth $8 of gold. Gold was up 13% last year. If you think about gold as money and you think about our Federal Reserve notes as currency, you'll see that one is a store of value, the gold. One of them is not, which is the Federal Reserve note. And that's the easiest way to think about what we're talking about today.
All right. Well, when we come back, you mentioned that the world could be laughing at us. Political chaos is up next on our forecast of 2024. We are going to keep reviewing the stories that will be big. Protect yourself right now, however. Call Midas Gold Group 855-322-4653, 855-322-GOLD, or you can text GOLD to 232425. They'll get right back to you. Always MidasGoldGroup.com. It's a Gold Standard Radio Show with Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn.
Dr. Gorka here. You're listening to The Gold Standard with your hosts, Ken Russo from veteran-owned Midas Gold Group and Jennifer Horn. Owning private money in the form of physical gold and silver is perhaps more important than ever to your long-term financial security. As U.S. banks fail, the Biden administration sends hundreds of billions abroad while depleting our strategic oil reserves. However, the biggest financial threat may be coming from within: central bank digital currency. The patents have been filed and the big banks have released plans for implementation. Midas Gold Group sees tyrannical implications: the end of cash, the end of financial privacy, big government able to see your every purchase. Could there be ties to social credit? Hear more commentary on the political and economic issues that affect your financial security right here on the Gold Standard. You can create your own Gold Standard with a call to Midas Gold Group, 855-322-GOLD. That's 855-322-4653, MidasGoldGroup.com.
Welcome back to the Gold Standard Radio Show. Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn reporting for duty for the first time together in 2024. Happy New Year from all of us.
Yes.
Yeah. And Ken, you brought in, we do a little show and tell. So if you watch the video feed of this show, which you can find at MidasGoldGroup.com, you will see in front of you a beautiful 1 ounce gold eagle, right?
That's right.
1986.
That's right.
Give
That's right.
us
What else do you know
details.
about? Go ahead.
No, please. It's
1 ounce coin.
Got some silver in there as well.
1 ounce of full gold, a little silver,
Yep.
and a little copper so it doesn't scratch
It's
as
my
easy.
favorite recipe.
Comes in a 1 ounce, half ounce, quarter ounce, 10th ounce size. By the Constitution, its definition, it's money.
Yeah.
Because there's a face value on it. So the only 2 gold coins that the United States Mint makes is the 1 ounce gold eagle with its different sizes and the 1 ounce gold buffalo.
It's
One
real
of my
money.
favorites.
Yeah. And that's something you can hold at home in your safe. So if you've been listening today and you hear the forecast for 2024 and we say, oh, Grumpy Ken, he's given us all the bad news. Look, it doesn't have to be bad news. This is just a reminder to take personal responsibility, protect yourself, protect your family. Don't rely on the government because they're not going to be there for you with your best interest at heart.
Yeah, and here's the difference. If you purchase this coin today, it's about a $2,200 coin, somewhere in that area. I think it'll be a $5,000 to a $10,000 coin 5 years from now. But if you kept that $2,200 in paper and you kept it at the bank, even with the interest you get, and if you back off the inflation and if you back out the lost purchasing power, what's that $2,200 going to be worth? Not to mention, it's at the bank. It's not even in your possession.
Right.
It may just disappear, or maybe we can't access it. So does it really matter if it's there anyway?
Or it turns into digital numbers on a page,
Well,
right?
it's definitely going to turn into a digital currency system in the next few years for sure. But that's the difference. So obviously you need a bank account to pay expenses, and obviously it's convenient. That's the way they make it. But does it really make any sense to keep all of your money, actually large amounts of money, in a banking system that we can't trust? And obviously it's not private.
Right.
So those would be my questions.
And I think,
how do you feel with your millions of dollars? in the bank?
I like to keep all my millions of dollars buried in my mattress. I wish I had millions of dollars, but you know what? Seriously, having some money pulled out of the system and at home, it's hedging your bets. It's just smart. 855-322-4653, 855-322-GOLD, MidasGoldGroup.com is the website. Let's get back to our list.
Next?
Political chaos. Hello, it's a presidential election. We've got Iowa turning out to caucus in January. That's going to be the theme this year.
Yeah, and look what they're doing. Court cases, obviously, to President Trump. I mean, it's not a secret to what they're doing. We're going to see more chaos politically within our government, other governments as well, with what's going on. Expect more political chaos, and I would expect that to roll over to financial chaos.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, why not?
You can already see it lining up. I mean, already, and we're going to talk about war
It's
in
a
a
clown
second,
world, Jen.
Israel and other nations are going to vote. I can't remember. There are 20-something other nations that are also holding elections
I saw a video
this year.
today of a South Korean politician.
Yeah.
And somebody walked up to him with a knife and stabbed him in the neck. It's crazy.
I saw the same thing. It is just, it's unfortunately, it's insanity. And that insanity leads to war, which we're seeing in now multiple places around the world.
And that's not going to end. That's another topic for 2024.
Yeah.
We all know that Iran is, on deck. We all know that China and Taiwan, there's going to be an issue there. And Taiwan is so important because they control so many semiconductor chips. This is not good. And we don't have the best people in our country calling the shots.
Right.
The Pentagon can't account for $1.9 trillion of their assets. We spoke about that. How many billions are we sending to Ukraine?
How do you lose that many zeros?
Well, how much are they not telling us about?
That's
how much
right.
is created out of thin air, then disappears? I would say it's in the trillions. So, listen, protect yourselves, people. I would say be on high alert. And I would say expect the unexpected this year. We're living in a very dangerous time. It feels like in many ways we're reaching a tipping point. You don't have to lose all of your money when things are torn down. And the way that you can stay pretty much financially intact while this all plays out is have some gold, have some silver, have it in your possession, kind of lighten up on the paper assets. We don't give financial advice, but I think at this particular moment, using common sense
You look at
and
the
looking at
trends.
reality, I can see where we're headed.
And Midas Gold Group, America First Patriots, they are veteran-owned, 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-4653. Let's move on to tech stocks in 2024.
Yeah, I mean, people put up with a falling dollar, and they put up with all of this debt, and they put up with all this recklessness when it comes to spending. Oh, but we're making a little bit of money in our 401k.
Right.
Oh, I'm making a little bit of money in our house, based on we have a mortgage, but the house prices are going up. So does that make it right?
Well, what kills me about the market is that it's been just like pretty terrible. And then all of a sudden, an election year is
well,
coming.
I would say it's manipulated.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you. I mean,
would
is that
say-
manipulation because they know that an election year
I
is
would
coming?
say it's a combination of being manipulated, and it's also a combination of we're in a pile in, pile out market.
Yeah.
Everybody either piles in at the same time or they all pile out at the same time. Is that a word, pile out?
It is now.
Okay.
We know what you mean, and we know what comes
Yeah.
in piles too.
and it's all fine and dandy when it's working, but
Right.
when everybody's trying to get out of the same barn door at the same time, when you're playing musical chairs, it's all fun, but if you don't have a chair, game's over.
Right.
So I would just tell people, be careful. We're seeing a lot of fear of missing out now, the FOMO trade. A lot of stock performance is being carried by a few names.
Right.
The Microsofts, the Apples, the Netflixes, the Googles, the Metas, that sort of thing, the Teslas. They're not going to go up forever. And I would just say we're probably closer to an important turning point than a huge, 5-year rally. Now, like I said, we're not giving advice, but when you're thinking about the economy and where we're headed, and you think about all of the fake money that's being created, when you think about all the debt that these corporations have that has to be refinanced over the next year or two, I just don't see how this is going to continue. Things are expensive, including stocks. But the reason why you own gold is for safety. The reason why is because what if the system collapses? You don't want to have all of your assets wrapped up in that sort of a system. A lot of people have a lot of their money, Jen, in an IRA. They have a lot of their money in a old 401k. It's all in annuities. It's all in stocks. It's all in mutual funds. And in my opinion, all of that stuff is probably as risky today as it's ever been. And I just have a bad feeling, possibly this year, who knows, just have a bad feeling that most people are not willing to lose 80 or 90% of their paper assets over the next few years if and when we do get into a very bad market situation. And I think it's just inevitably going to happen. You just don't know when.
Well, and that's the thing. You want to protect yourself. There's a reason they say solid gold. It's solid.
That's right.
It's tangible. It's
and you have
real.
to make those moves now, like you said, because once that other stuff happens, once things start to
When the shoes
unfold,
start dropping,
yeah,
right.
it's too late to do anything. So you have to be proactive, and you can still make some of those moves now. And I would say it's a perfect time to at least know what your options are.
Whether you're brand new or you're just looking for a new gold provider, Midas Gold Group is there for you. Great people, not a call center. 855-322-4653, 855-322-GOLD. All right, let's talk about inflation. That's on everybody's mind, Ken.
Yeah, I mean, and we go back to 1971. The dollar has lost 95% of its value against gold.
95%.
Against gold. The dollar's lost 19% of its purchasing power in the last 3 years. What do we expect is going to happen if we increase the monetary base by 30, 40, 50% in a short period of time? What do you think is going to happen? So I would say inflation, it's only a matter of time before it starts to go up again. And when we think about inflation, what is it? It's the devaluation of our currency.
Which is happening every day.
Yes,
We
and
feel
it's
it. We
only
see
going to
it.
get worse the more they print, and they lie about the job numbers. They lie about the inflation numbers. They make the numbers look convenient where they want them to look convenient. We all know that daily needs goods are all up 20 to 50% in the last couple of years.
Right.
That's not a lie. I mean, so you can tell regular people what the story is, but they know. They feel it in their pocket. We all know that our paper currency is going to continue to lose value. And those are the reason why, in itself, you need to own gold.
Yep. Protect yourself. Get with it. This is your time. New Year's resolution time. Keep yourself safe. Keep your family safe. Do it with gold and precious metals. Midas Gold Group can be reached. 855-322-GOLD. 855-322-4653. You can text gold to 232425 and always at Midas Gold Group. And Ken, we ran out of time to talk about digital currency, but I think we should do that next week because privacy is a huge element to this
equation. We all
equation.
know that we're headed towards a monetary system where the government wants to monitor everything.
Control
is it a
everything.
big surprise?
Not a big surprise.
Why would you have all of your assets in a system where everything is going to be monitored? Does that make any sense?
It does not. Don't wait another minute. Call Midas Gold Group, 855-322-4653, 855-322-GOLD or MidasGoldGroup.com. Thanks for joining us. It's the Gold Standard Radio Show with Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn.